Alrighty. Good afternoon, members of the media. Before I start this, I just want to ask your indulgence at the end of this if you have any questions. I just want you to ask to state your name, what organization you represent, just for clarity so that I know, just so that I know where the questions are coming from.
Sir, we, the members of the press, I'd like to think I'm speaking on everybody's behalf. At this point in time, we would opt not to do that, given the atmosphere. There is an attempt to have journalists here identified in the public domain for whatever reason. We would appreciate that not happen. You know everybody here.
I don't. That's the issue.
We would give you
I know.
names afterwards.
I know two people, if that much, that I have seen. Really. I don't know everyone here. Like I said, I know about two people.
They're not going to be asking questions.
What? Once again. All right.
Because I was thinking
Okay. Well, that's fine.
Well, go ahead.
I just came out here to offer a quick update as to what's going on in there. We are coming down to the final last few minutes, a few days of the recount. Everything has been going very smooth so far. Yesterday we noticed that there was a drawdown of the police presence, and that was made public. And I think we've seen the police getting back into their position. Also what we've seen is an updated, accelerated approach by the APNO AFC to want to discredit the entire system, the entire recount process in itself. And I say that against the backdrop that Mr. Harman, and I sat inside and I watched his press conference right here, just about an hour ago, where he openly issued a threat to the Guyana Elections Commission, where he said that we are requiring of the Guyana Elections Commission that certain actions be taken. The implications of those words are very, very dangerous. Obviously, if you're requiring something, there must be a consequence to it. If you request something, it is up to the Guyana Elections Commission whether they choose to answer that or not. I'm not going to speak on behalf of any political party except the Liberty and Justice Party, whom I represent. And I want to say that I have absolute confidence in the Commission at this point to execute their mandate and to go through this process and ensure that they operate within the confines of the law. It is very unfortunate to look at some characters within the Elections Commission, and I say that against the backdrop of Mr. Alexander's remarks last night, where he came out here and listed a slew of issues pertaining to the electoral process, when he himself has been engaged in that very institution to set that institution right and to ensure that everything is done and set right before any electoral process. That would simply say that he and colleagues of his kind would have failed the nation of Guyana. To bring those things to a point now simply says that they have not performed their job and their duty to the point of satisfaction. And to come out here and to accuse your own secretariat of potentially being infiltrated or not conducting their jobs with integrity is beneath Mr. Alexander. When you look at what happened on Elections Day, these officers in themselves, some of them were up at midnight. And they operated all day because they had to travel, go there, conduct elections, do the count, complete their tabulation, seal their boxes and everything. And in some cases, some of them did not finish until 2 o'clock in the morning. So there will be obvious human errors that are going to be evident through any electoral process. And I think if you look at the international standard for elections, they say anywhere between 5 and 10% of discrepancies would be acceptable. In Guyana, we have not even touched 1%. What we do understand from what has happened in there is that every APNU AFC stronghold that exists, there seem to have been no issues, no objections, or minimal in this sense, very, very minimal objections to anything. And I think now you're going into the PPP stronghold, and you are starting to see, as Mr. Harman said, that the hot spot is coming down to the East Coast. And it is an expectation that they are going to start objecting to as many things as they possibly can, not because they have a legitimate concern. It is because they just want to find a way to taint the system and maybe undermine the figures so it does not show that the franchise has been counted and that the numbers are falling where they do. Those things in themselves are very, very dangerous because we have a country to repair when this process is done. And the young people have to have a country to live in when all this is done. And we are mindful and cautious, and we're going to ask that the AP and UAFC take a less divisive tone and approach to ensuring that everyone accepts what comes of this process here. Not just because we don't like something means that we have to go and destroy it. If we don't like the electoral process, we have an opportunity and an obligation to fix it. If we don't like the numbers that are coming out of here, then what we have to do is change the way we perform as political leaders. I just want to conclude there, and I want to say thank you to all the people who continue to support this process, to all of the hardworking staff of the Guyana Elections Commission who continue to do their work day in and day out. I almost forgot one thing. In terms of the observation report, there has been, in some cases, a slight bias that has been exhibited, where we have attempted to make observations, take the Mingo boxes as we call them, where we object to, or at least we state in the observation report, that please note on that observation report that these do not match the numbers that were previously declared by Mr. Claremont Mingo. Those things have not been making it onto the observation report in many cases. And we want to believe that there is a clear interest in not having it there. Because if you're to go and look at the Mingo's numbers, which we have in our possession, you are going to see some massive discrepancy. And we are hopeful that the Guyana Elections Commission will correct that moving forward. And that when we are done with this process, that we are going to have general acceptance by the public. Thank you.
Mr. Shuman, based on the results that would have been coming out of the process so far, can you say whether they joined their parties, whether they're still on track for that seat?
Based on the numbers that we've had previously and what are being confirmed in here, it points to one of two scenarios for us. It is either the Liberty and Justice Party won a seat outright, or the joiner won that one seat. We cannot speak with finality until we've concluded Region 4, because I think Region 4 at this point would present a clearer picture when that is tabulated, because I think ANOG in itself got a lot more votes in Region 4 than LJP. So we still have to see how those numbers fall, and do keep in mind that at the end it goes to the highest of the remainder. So we're still very mindful of that, and we're keeping a watchful eye on it.
Should it go to the joint parties? That would mean that, can you explain the arrangement? How would that seat arrangement work out between three parties?
In terms of the arrangement, any seat that is won outright by any political party goes to that party. If it is won as a consequence of all of the parties coming together, what we do is share time in Parliament based on the percentage of votes that we would have attained. So if, for example, the Liberty and Justice Party could account for 20% of that seat, then we spend 20% of the time in Parliament, and the rest is allocated based on percentage.
Can you say, put a name to the likely candidates that may fill that seat? How long?
We have not sat down and determined that yet. When this process is done, we still have to talk, because it has never been done in the history of Guyana. And we want to be able to talk to the Guyana Elections Commission to see what kind of arrangements could be put in place to ensure that that is accepted. It is only in Part 22 of the Representation of People Act. It is only written in there, but there is nothing else, no subsidiary legislation beyond that or below that, that describes how that joiner is approached. Thank you.